Hello, my name is Professor Gatrad. I'm a consultant pediatrician in the West Midlands, and today I'm going to talk to you about the impact of climate change on children. I have a certificate in global planetary health, and I'm also a member of the Royal College of Pediatrics Climate Change Committee. I have many people to thank for the knowledge that I've received of the impact of climate change on children globally. Every child born today will be affected by the planetary boundaries that I've shown you here. For example, deforestation is leading to loss of carbon capture, and this particular biosphere's integrity has been seriously lost and is well beyond safety levels. So we've got eutrophication of water, we've got impact of herbicides and fertilizers, impact on fish and corals, devices of asthma and refrigeration gases, etc., that impact on our environment, including plastics. So why do we talk about children? Because health of children is not yet focus of policymakers around the world. For example, children need support and protection in the transport area where they get injured from the environment. In urban planning, 20% of children in the UK do not have green spaces to play with. Education around the world is a big problem. If you've got better education, you get less poverty. Agricultural and trade policies impact on children around the world. Access to healthcare is another big issue, and particularly when you consider there's violence to women and children around the world. Poor housing leads to environmental impacts, which is self-explanatory. So we talk about children because there are health inequalities all around the world, leading to war, violence, malnutrition, migration, poverty, environment, and also emerging infections, which are largely related to vectors, which have increased as a result of climate change. Children form a quarter of the world's population. In fact, 50% of the world's population is less than 30 years old. Health burden of climate change is largely on less than 5-year-olds. And if you take the entire world, it's 88%. And if you take just the emerging countries and taking away the developed world, 99% of children are impacted. 1 million die because of respiratory problems for indoor air pollution. Climate change is a child's right issue. Children should have clean air, clean water, and nutritious food. But a child does not have a voice in these environmental changes. Talking about environment, just one example of one species, the turtles impacted by 1.2 degrees of the present increase in global warming have resulted in the eggs having a ratio of hatching of 1 male per 100 females. So this sort of impact we can transfer onto human development. And indeed, we do not know what's happening to our reproductive potential. We do know a lot about these issues, and there is a lot of evidence that there are serious pregnancy outcomes, which I will allude to very shortly as a result of climate change and air pollution. During pregnancy, there is psychological impact because of trauma events such as floods, etc. Physiologically, during pregnancy, there's a high output circulation and altered blood pressure affected by climate change, and also the fact that other diseases related to diabetes, related to pregnancy, such as diabetes, are also present. Once the child is born, the first 100,000 years are very, very sensitive, and language develops, sensory pathways develop, language develops, and higher cognitive functions develop too within the first 5 years of life. Children are made more vulnerable because therefore they've got a lifelong exposure to all the environmental issues. 80% of the lungs develop after birth, and 14% of their development is stunted as a result of air pollution. Children have higher metabolic rate and respiratory rate, and this leads to increased toxins getting into their bodies, particularly during critical periods of development. The fact that they are immature and run around, they are exposed to environmental hazards such as infections in water, such as cholera during floods. The fact that they have large surface area results in a loss of a lot of heat, and indeed heat that impacts on their skin. They also have poor sweat gland function. The fact that they are short, the exhausts from cars impact on their intake of all the pollutants much more easily than in adults. The immune system is immature. The behavior, as I mentioned, is immature. And the fact that they're exposed to indoor and outdoor environmental pollution impacts on them hugely. Now, as far as environmental air pollution is concerned, it'll surprise you to know that environmental air pollution outside is much less than the indoor air pollution by up to a factor of 5. Around the world, children are exposed to cooking within homes. So that carbon dioxide is hugely impacting on millions of children around the world. There was a test case in the UK where air pollution was a direct result of death of a child in London. She was 9 years old, and the coroner classed this as a primary cause of death. Children are exposed to air pollution from birth, as you would expect. These are the gases that are polluting gases, and as I mentioned earlier, 93% of the world's children live in areas of air pollution that are above the WHO guidance. The most important impact of air pollutant is a 2.5 micron particulate matter, which affects pregnant women, leading to stillbirths and low birth weight, affecting children's lung development, and also incidence of asthma. As a child gets older and into adulthood, you'd get lung cancer and strokes and heart disease. And as you get even older, diabetes and dementia occur as a result of particulate matter having got into all our systems. What is the impact of heat as a result of global warming? Well, it's already been shown in India that children get many more headaches and there's loss of concentration. Heat has got a huge impact on the body, particularly of children. As I've mentioned, they have larger surface area. It can lead to dehydration and heat exhaustion because of electrolyte and water loss, or heat strokes, where the temperature remains very high, and this leads to organ failure and death. The fact that heat leads to inactivity, people are already getting obese, and diabetes is increasing. There is also an impact of heat on the way insulin is metabolized in the body. Let's turn to soil degradation and water eutrophication. By water eutrophication, I mean the use of fertilizers which lead to nitrogen and phosphate emptying into rivers, affecting growth of algae and other toxins, which impact not only on corals, but also on the amount of fresh water that's available to children. Soil degradation. When there's monocropping or erosion from floods, all these species are affected and soil is degraded, resulting in nutritional deficiencies. Just the nutritional deficiencies lead to almost 3 years loss of life expectancy in children. This diagram is just to show the areas in the world that are short of children that are short of iron in their bodies. Iron is important for cognitive development and also physical development. These are the foods that the world depends on, staple foods. And as you can see, maize, wheat, and soybean and rice have all decreased in their yield over the years, as shown by these graphs. The nutrients from fish are also very important, and fish is eaten by over 2 billion people around the world, mostly children. And it's a very important source of protein. Omega acids, iodine, vitamin D, iron, calcium, etc., are all important in nutrition of not only the brain, but also physical development of a child. A lot of the impact of climate change leads to eco-distress, which is called solastalgia. This largely is as a result of food insecurity, loss of land, urbanization, which often is as a result of migration. And all these lead to system disruption, for example, loss of electricity, transport, community, and communication disruptions. Mental illness in adults has been shown to be directly resulting, in some cases, from climate change, and many adults have committed suicide. We at WASUP, which is World Against Single-Use Plastic, have got ambassadors all over the world. And just in Africa, we got 22 ambassadors. We propagate the importance of mitigation of climate change and also adaptation. So here we have it in Pakistan, Indonesia, India, etc. And this is one of our international ambassadors in Pakistan talking about climate change and the scourge of plastics. And here we've got one of our ambassadors with a WhatsApp book that I've written for small children in a school in Sierra Leone. What are we doing in the NHS? Well, NHS has got a net zero program by 2040. So it is already in the sustainability agenda of hospitals and also in the medical curriculum via the General Medical Council who we've been badgering for the last few years to get it into the curriculum. 3 aspects I'm involved with our trust. One is the use of desflurane, which is a gas, hugely powerful gas, hundreds of times more powerful than carbon dioxide. So in our trust, we've actually decreased this considerably and are using less powerful greenhouse gases for anesthesia. We are also decreasing the use of nitrous oxide. We are also involved in projects that collect a lot of the devices that are used in asthma. Each device that is discarded is equivalent to a carbon footprint of 200 miles. And every year, 73 million inhalers are in fact discarded and most of them go into landfill. If we look at water, 500 liters per person takes up water that is fresh for dialysis purposes. We are trying to retrieve 75% of the post-dialyzed water. So we have got projects in place that are trying to save our planet in different ways. So to summarize, we've got this young lady here who is impacted by lots and lots of issues that are related to climate change. Just for completeness, the vectors that are increasing around the world lead to more malaria and dengue fever. Mass migration leading to abuse on the way by adults because some of the parents have actually died. Mass migration leading to war, poverty leading to war leading to further poverty affecting children. So these children have nowhere to run. But what about possible future pandemics? As humans and animals come into contact more and more as a result of floods and also forests that are burning. As a result of the poverty that is resulting from climate change, people will eat animals more and more, resulting in these zoonistic diseases, which will lead to pandemics like we've never known before. So in summary, ladies and gentlemen, climate health in 10 words. It's real, it's us. Scientists agree, it's catastrophic, but there is hope. The world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. We still have ink in the pen to change the ending. So for these children, thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye.